Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another blind creepypasta reading. This is the show where I read creepypastas that I have not read before and offer my thoughts and opinions as we go along. I know that there have been some of you that want me to cover more serious stories, as I've been doing a lot of, funny bad ones lately, so here's one that will hopefully suit your needs and sate your appetite. The story we're covering today is called Camcorder, which is apparently a sequel to the story $1.wav that I covered a while ago on this channel, so if you want to, you can go check that one out. I don't know if it's necessary to understand this story, but I'm going to assume that is the case. So, without further ado, it's time to read Camcorder. It's apparently supposed to be a good one, because it's still on the Creepypasta wiki. So hey, I guess we'll see. Let's begin. My name is Henry Goodman. Yes, I am related to John Goodman, the blogger that had a rather unpleasant experience with a file called $1.wav. I am his brother. I am the father of 3 kids, and I have a wife whose name is Jenny Goodman. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm here to tell you about a rather disturbing experience I had involving a used camcorder I got off of eBay. It's strange. Both me and John's problems happened when we bought something off of eBay. Anywho, on with my story. So, me and my family were planning a vacation, and we wanted to capture our trip on tape, as well as take some photos. Unfortunately, our video camera was broken, so we would have to either get a new one, or just take photos instead. So I went on eBay to see if anybody was selling a camcorder. Well, long story short, I found one. I bid on it, and won. A few days later, I received a small package which had the camcorder in it. I opened it and took the camcorder out. Oh, this is like a really classic creepypasta introduction here. Ooh, I found a creepy thing on eBay, and then stuff started going wrong. So we'll see if this story subverts my expectations or if it is paint by the numbers. But right now, we'll see. It's too early to tell. It was the typical camcorder with the little small screen on it and such. I had some blank Sony camcorder tapes, so I opened up the camcorder to put one inside. To my surprise, however, there was already a tape inside. I assumed it was one that the previous owner forgot to take out, as it was a used camcorder. I hoped nothing important was on it, otherwise they'd be pretty upset about losing it. I took the tape out and looked at it. I like that detail about otherwise they'd be pretty upset about losing it. That's kind of a likable little quip there that endears us to our main character. I like that. There was a piece of yellow masking tape stuck on the front, labeled with black Sharpie, 2006. Just 2006 and nothing else. I decided to play the tape just to see what was on it. So I put the tape back inside the camcorder and hooked the camcorder up to my TV to watch the tape on the TV. I rewound the tape, but it was already at the beginning. So I did the usual crap to play a tape from a camcorder on the TV. You know, this whole setup it reminds me a lot of the movie Sinister, if you've seen that one. You know, the main character just finds some old tapes and he's like, oh, what's this about? And then he just finds the scariest shit ever on there. I don't know if you've seen Sinister. I would recommend it. It's a really good film. The ending, I mean, the final few seconds, just gonna say, it's a little stupid. If you have seen the film, you probably understand what I'm talking about, but I would recommend Sinister. It's a good movie. I really like it. Very, very interesting. And I'm reminded very much of Sinister when I'm reading this. I don't know which came first, the movie or this story, but we'll continue. The tape started with 10 seconds of a blank blue screen. Then it cut to someone filming a school playground on a cloudy day. Kids ran around and played, but whoever was filming seemed to just be interested in one of them. A little girl, probably around 5 years old, with pale skin, brown hair, brown eyes, and wearing a yellow coat. Whoever was filming seemed to be following her and watching her play. Sometimes the person filming would talk to the girl, and it was a man's voice. He called the girl Alice, and I assumed the person filming was the girl's father. I assumed it must have been some recording of her last day of school or something. So if that was a recording of the cameraman's daughter's last day of school, it must have been important to him. I felt bad for him, losing something this precious, but I had little time to ponder that because suddenly a very loud droning buzzing sound burst from the speakers, scaring the living crap out of me. The scenery had changed. It was now nighttime and the school was deserted except for the girl. All the while that ear-piercing buzz continued to sound from the TV speakers as I plugged my ears. The girl was turned away from the camera, so I couldn't see her face. She just stood there motionless. Then she turned to face the camera, and what I saw, well, I didn't see that one coming. The girl's eyeballs were gone. Just dark, empty sockets where they should have been. There wasn't blood or anything. The eyeballs were literally just gone. Her mouth was drooling some kind of disgusting green slime, and her nose was gone. Not like it was cut off, just not there. Just plain skin where it should have been. Think of Patrick from SpongeBob, you get the idea. Okay, no, just don't reference SpongeBob when you're trying to do a creepy, scary description of a demonic little girl. I mean, I understand that you want to have like something similar for the audience to relate to. That's a common thing to see, to like, oh, it's like Patrick, but it kind of dissipates any and all tension in the scene. At least it did for me. And there's an image as well here on the story that pretty much described, or it is pretty much what the text described. I think the picture is a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit like, oh, on the nose and very obviously photoshopped. It's on screen right now in case you want to take a look at it if you're listening to this as a podcast kind of deal. That's how the picture looks like, and it's basically what they described in the story. But yeah, that was just, I was getting into it, and then all of a sudden you reference Patrick from SpongeBob, and I kind of took me out of it for a little moment there. But let's continue. This is reminding me so much of Sinister. Just, you know, someone focusing on kids playing or whatever, and then the kid turns around and they're super creepy. But let's continue. The scene then burst into static. The buzzing noise stopped, but you could hear the sound of knives slicing against flesh and blood-curdling screams. Then the scene returned, and the girl was hung by a swing in a swing set, with several nasty wounds around her body and a bloody knife laying on the ground below her. Her eyeballs were still gone, and her mouth still dripped the weird green slime, and she still had no nose. The tape was silent, no loud buzzing or anything, just silence as the girl dangled around. Heart pounding so hard it threatened to burst, scared out of my mind because of the sudden buzzing sound and, to a lesser degree, the disturbing footage that accompanied it. I sprinted over to the TV and shut it off. I ejected the tape from the camcorder, shut the camcorder off, and unhooked it from the TV. I took a hammer and smashed the tape to tiny pieces. Why do creepypasta authors always do that? Why not take it to the proper authorities? Because I would think you would want such a scary tape about a murdered young girl to be investigated. Breathing heavily, still not sure what the heck just happened, I sat down on the couch. I just stayed there for a while, staring at the blank TV screen. After I'd finally calmed down, Jenny came home from the grocery store. I helped her bring the groceries in. I didn't tell her about the tape because she'd think I was going insane. The dream I had that night was not pleasant. I was in a dark hallway. My throat, it felt like someone was repeatedly flicking my Adam's apple. That loud buzzing from the tape played non-stop. It wasn't coming from any direction. It was just there in my ears, as if I was wearing headphones and the sound was playing on them. I was scared out of my mind. I wanted desperately to get out, to go home, to be in the comfort of my bed. I tried crying for help, but no matter how hard I tried, no sound would come out. Suddenly, I felt the urge to vomit. Not having a bucket or a toilet nearby, I puked on the floor. But instead of puke, I hurled up a small Sony videotape with masking tape on the front labeled 2006 in black Sharpie. Then the tape morphed into a girl. No, not just any girl. It was the girl in the tape. Her eyeballs were gone, her mouth oozed green slime, and she had no nose. She slowly walked down the hallway, and for some reason I followed. All the while that awful buzzing noise kept playing. She led me down the hallway and I realized where I was. I was in an elementary school. Kids' drawings and other art lined the walls. Posters saying, "Vote Josh for school president" were everywhere. You get the idea. She led me out an open door and into the playground. It was the very same playground from the tape. And a man was there holding a camcorder recording us. But not just any camcorder. It was the very same camcorder that I had gotten off of eBay. He just stood there recording us. The girl led me over to a swing set. She pulled a knife out of her pocket. My body then became frozen in place. I couldn't move my eyes. I couldn't move my head. I was forced to watch in horror as the girl sliced herself up with the knife, giving herself the same wounds as in the video, and the buzzing sound stopped, being replaced with the girl's blood-curdling screams of agony. Then, she put her neck into one of the swings as if it was a noose. Then, the swing pulled up on its own accord, killing the girl. The girl dangled from the noose, just like in the video. After a few moments I could move my body again. I sprinted over to the man holding the camcorder. He just looked at me and smiled. "That's my girl," he said. "I'm so proud." I jolted awake. My heart pounded, my forehead was sweaty, and I was breathing heavily. Jenny lay next to me, apparently still asleep. I sat there for a while and finally calmed down. I lay back down in bed and closed my eyes. I couldn't fall back to sleep. My tossing and turning finally woke Jenny up, and she got mad and went to sleep on the sofa. She opened the door, but then she froze. She just stood there, and I could see her hands trembling. I asked her what was the matter. She just pointed a trembling finger out the door. I got out of bed and looked where she was pointing. My blood ran cold. There was a hallway outside the door, going out to the living room where the TV was. From down the hall, I could see the TV. It was on, and on it was the little girl's face, missing eyeballs and all. But then I realized that the TV was in a corner of the room I could not see from where I was. My sleep-deprived brain mistook what I saw as the TV. But it wasn't the TV. It was the window. And that, my friends, was Camcorder. That was pretty damn good, I'll have to say. There were a few grammatical issues that I saw, a few weird phrasings, I'd say, but there was a lot of really good, well detailed and put together scares that I really enjoyed. At first I was a little disappointed because I felt like things were moving pretty quickly and I was like, wait, why is this happening? Why is that happening? But I think it pretty much came together well in the end with that really cool twist about how, oh, it's not the TV, it's actually the window. That was actually that was really nice. Just the thought of like seeing this creepy little girl standing like by your window, it's a creepy thought to think about. There were a few issues. I felt like earlier, like the referencing Patrick from SpongeBob was a little cheesy. I think the picture itself is a little cheesy as well. I feel like the story would have worked better if it just didn't have the image and you just made your own image of what the little girl looked like in your head. I think that could have worked a little better. Other than that, I feel like the story was very solid. There weren't any like egregious points that I was like, what? I really liked it, and I especially really liked the quote from the father recording the whole thing saying, "That's my girl, I'm so proud." That almost gave me chills down my spine. That was really like chilling. That was very good. Like, the father is proud of his daughter doing this horrible thing to herself. I really found that very interesting, and there is supposed to be a next installment in the series after $1.wav and Camcorder called knob.exe, and I can't wait to read that one to see if any of my questions are answered there. So we will be covering that one next time. But let's take a look at some of the comments, seeing what people think. Me M from HH saying good story, but the pic was crap. I guess I would agree with that. And then someone hates trolls who responds 3 days ago says, do you really have the skill to criticize this? What, you think you can do better? I'm sorry, hates trolls, but the person was just saying that the picture was crap. They said the story was good, so come on, just take it easy, hates trolls. Come on. Sasuke Tiesma says, what a nice creepypasta. I would rate it a 9.5 out of 10 only because of the cliffhanger. I would share the same sentiments. It was nice. It did have a few shortcomings and a few weird things in it that I wasn't that big of a fan of, but I would probably rate it probably a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. I'd probably put it at a 7 out of 10. It did provide me with some very interesting details, and I did enjoy it. So a 7 out of 10 is what I'll give it. Sidnet says, I liked it. The end sounded like the hallway had magically appeared by the way it was written, and I wonder how you could mistake a window for a TV, even if you were sleep deprived. At night, if the window makes no light, and at that distance it should make quite a small sight compared to a TV screen. Otherwise, 8 out of 10. I mean, yeah, logic, you know, whatever. No, but I did enjoy that. That was, I think that's enough comments, but I enjoyed this story. I enjoyed the very colorful descriptions of some of the things. I enjoyed the creepy imagery, and I feel like it worked pretty well. So my final takeaway of Camcorder was that there were a few shortcomings, but there were a lot more positives than negatives in the story, and I think the author should be commended. There are certain aspects that I would improve, but that's the case with any story. So a 7 out of 10 is what I will stick by, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So thank you for listening to this episode. I will see you in another one, hopefully, if I didn't bore you to tears. I hope not. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay awesome. Goodbye.